TV streaming, we have the Tim Pool controversy of Timcast IRL to talk about. An unfortunate update for the God of War series over on Amazon Prime. And The Office Australia is a thing now that we're gonna have to talk about, apparently. Hello, nerds! This is the weekly TV news show. Not like the evening news with Tom Brokaw. No, nothing like that. This has more to do with TV shows, nerdy-oriented TV shows, as well as episodic content that you will find on streaming platforms. If this is your kind of thing, then you can check out the full episode that I like to call The Week in Nerddom that covers all spectrum of pop culture and just generally nerdy things over on the main channel. You can find it linked down in the description or at the end of this video. All of that being said, let's talk about TV shows and nerdy stuff like that. We got some follow-ups for TV streaming this week. First up, we have Daredevil. Again, New York Comic Con happened over the course of the last week, and so we now know that March 4th is the launch date for Daredevil Born Again on Disney+. Likewise, we got a little bit of Starfleet information as far as the new Starfleet Academy series is concerned. We already have a confirmation for renewal for season 2 for the Starfleet Academy before season 1 even comes out. So this is how much they believe in these projects. No confirmation as to when the second season is going to happen because we don't have the first season yet, so we'll see. The next one is going to be a little bit of a bummer for fans of the God of War franchise who have been anticipating what they're going to do in the series, the TV series version of it. So the live action series has just lost 3 of its executive producers, and so they are starting back over from scratch. Even though Sony and Sony and Amazon both were very excited about the scripts, they are apparently now starting back from scratch, rewriting scripts and repopulating the staff that is involved in making this happen. So yeah, God of War, huge setback for the live action series. And then our final follow-up for this section is Joe Rogan. We talked last week about how it was a rumor that Joe Rogan was going to be interviewing the next 2 presidential candidates, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. It came out first that Trump was rumored to be going on the show, and then Kamala Harris rumors followed. We now have confirmation, at the very least, that he is going to be interviewing Donald Trump on his show this week. So potentially by the time this is out, that episode will be out on Joe Rogan's YouTube channel. You can go check it out. I'm guaranteeing this is going to be a hell of an episode for Joe Rogan. Not necessarily that he needs any sort of boost, but like just the incredible scrutiny that this is going to go under on both his part and Trump's part is just incredibly interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about this when we get into the rumor mill, but that's what we got for follow-ups and corrections. Let's get into new trailers for the week, and this is the next one is the next big thing for the episode. The Office, the Australian edition of The Office, has apparently come out on Amazon Prime. It started to come out, at least on Amazon Prime. They're doing weekly releases from the sounds of it. I don't know, I'm in the States, and that is one of the very few countries where you can't get the Australian version of The Office on Amazon Prime. So I really don't know how, if you're in the States, you can watch it. You can, though, go watch the trailer for the first season on YouTube, on the Amazon YouTube channel, and it's bonkers. This is approximately like the 15th time that this has happened, that another country has done their version of The Office. Technically, the American version of The Office, you have to know this by now, the American version of The Office is a remake of the British version of The Office, which happens a lot more regularly than you probably know, where we take a British sitcom and or a British show at all in general. It doesn't even have to be sitcom, reality television. We get dramas, all kinds of stuff from England, from Britain, and then we make it into the American version of it. And Now Australia is doing that same thing. So people are getting really up in arms about the fact that it's the Australian version of The Office and why do we need another version of The Office? I feel like that's a little bit ridiculous. But then there's the people who take the issue with the fact that they gender swapped pretty much all of the key roles, and it's so kind of asinine, like why you need to gender, like there was I feel like there was pretty decent parody. There was not parody like mocking, but parody like pair, like equal representation. So I don't understand the need for the gender swapping. I don't know. If it wasn't so cringy, like if the writing wasn't so bad, like I feel like this would not be such a big deal. But because it's gender swapped and the writing is very bad, that's why it's become such a big deal in the community. So I don't know. I wanted to bring this one up so that I can get a couple of your takes down the comment section. What do you think about the Australian version of The Office? If you're in Australia, I mean, if you look at the comment section on the trailer, a lot of people who do live in Australia are apologizing for the existence of this show. So there's that, but I don't know. I just want to hear your takes. So what do you think? Let's move on from there though. Next up in trailers, we got our first official trailer for the second season of the Goosebumps anthology series called The Vanishing. Again, David Schwimmer will be in this, and he is apparently the villain. If you watch this trailer, the trailer does leave the distinct possibility that this is just a red herring. Hopefully that is exactly what this is a red herring, and we get some sort of subversive element in the actual show, so that way we don't feel like we got the entire show in the trailer, because that seems to be a growing theme, right? From there, let's go into the Creature Commandos trailer that was dropped at New York Comic Con this week. I mean, what else is there to really say about this? Honestly, go watch the trailer. It's good. I don't know that it really builds the hype for this, but that's largely because of the ways we've been burned by DC in the past. So this is going to be our first real taste of the new James Gunn DCU. And it looks solid. It looks like it's going to be somewhere in a similar vein as Invincible. So sure, we'll give it a chance and then take it from there, right? This one will be coming out, where'd it go? December 5th on Max. But then back into Star Trek. Back into Star Trek? Oh yeah, because we already talked about Starfleet Academy. Back into Star Trek, we got the Strange New Worlds Season 2 clip. This is a 3-minute clip from, I believe, the first episode of Season 2. If you did not watch Season 1, then why are you watching the trailer for Season 2? Go watch Season 1. But this is legit building some hype, doing its job for sure. This one is going to be out. I don't have the release date on that for some reason. It's at the end of the clip, I believe. But Rhys Darby is a guest star for the first episode or something in Season 2. Either way, it's Rhys Darby, so it's going to be great. Go check out that trailer. Another trailer dropping at New York Comic Con this week was Walking Dead: Dead City. This is our first proper length trailer, whereas the previous one was a teaser trailer, right? This one is coming spring of 2025, so that's the new piece, as we now know that spring is the release window. We don't know anything more specific than that. Once we do, we'll talk about it. And our final trailer for TV streaming this week is Yellowstone Season 5B. Of note, in this trailer, it seems that there is some Kevin Costner footage for 5B, for the end of this series, because everything from this point is going to be technically a spin-off. So the end of this series is going to have, it would appear, at least based on this trailer, some sort of Kevin Costner footage. So they did shoot a little bit with Costner, it would seem, before all of the crazy happened. And that's what we got for trailers for TV. So let's move into the regular news for the episode. First one is the Tim Pool situation. So technically, this is podcasting, so I guess it could have gone in tech, gaming and tech, but it's episodic because it's a podcast, and we've talked about podcast stuff here in the TV streaming section before, hence why it's not just TV, it's TV streaming, because there's more than just, terrestrial televisions. Technically, TV streaming platforms are a different delivery service anyway, so why not put podcasts here? So that kind of explains why we're here with it. But what happened with Tim Pool? Well, Tim Pool apparently is calling it quits as far as the IRL show goes. So I think that's kind of a big part of where all of this drama is coming from. Because Tim Pool doesn't hire employees, Tim Pool hires friends. You can't have friends as employees because then they start to get lazy and take advantage. Whether on purpose or otherwise, it's irrelevant because that's just the way it goes. So, because I mean, you look at something like Linus Tech Tips, even something slightly more comparable in, say, The Quartering, or I would say Young Turks, but that's a fairly different situation. I honestly can't think of anything on the YouTube space that would be comparable to Tim Pool on the opposite side of the political aisle. So, but there are plenty of shows like that that have just the money that's coming in from YouTube and from the merch sales and from the other things that they're doing to sustain themselves. You don't have outside investors like you do with like the Daily Wire or the Young Turks, or the way Crowder used to run his show. You have just the money coming in that is self-sustaining. YouTube ads, merch sales, any other business ventures that are related to but not directly tied to the YouTube channel itself. Like Jeremy at The Quartering has Coffee Brand Coffee. Tim Pool also has the Timcast, or the Brewcast, or whatever the hell he calls his coffee company. And that's kind of how they sustain. So he makes plenty of money. He has 30 employees on staff and can't seem to motivate them. And so at the end of the day, if that's your issue, then that's on you. He has said that if he's not directly involved in the making of a show, then it doesn't get made. To which there's already counterpoint to that inside his own company, because pop culture, what is it? The pop, I can't even think of the name of the damn show, but it's their pop culture news show that is kind of covering a similar area in the pop culture kind of landscape as I do, a very different format, but that's their Pop Culture Crisis. That's what it is. Pop Culture Crisis is another show that happens without Tim's involvement. That is part of the company that Tim runs. So he's missing his own point, I guess. This is kind of a rambling statement on my part, but what this all boils down to, what is the news? The news here is that Tim Pool is not good at his job as far as the business side of things. He's very good at reporting the news. Like, that's been made very obvious by the fact that he's a millionaire basically complaining about the news on the internet for a living. Like, that's all well and good, but if you want to expand, if you want to create culture, as he says regularly, you need to be a better business person. You need to be Jeremy. What is Jeremy's last name? Jeremy Boring, I believe, from the Daily Wire. You need to have that kind of acumen, or you need to be Ben Shapiro, who is only there to make sure his show runs and maybe procure some money for other shows. But he doesn't have any direct involvement in the other stuff, as far as I understand the way the Daily Wire is run. Or you need to be Jeremy from The Quartering, and you need to be very much involved with those other things, but also have the work ethic to still do your show. I don't know, it's me being a one-man show listening to Tim Pool cry about the fact that he has a staff that takes him for granted just made me feel bad for him, and not in any sort of like, oh, he's getting taken advantage of. It's more, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. So, I don't know. Again, long, rambly way of presenting the news, and a fair bit of my opinion. But yeah, that's what we got for the Tim Pool situation. Our next piece, our other piece for streaming, has to do with Mike Flanagan, once again, Mike Flanagan has made it known that his next project, his first project with Amazon, is in fact going to be the Carrie remake that I believe was rumored up to this point, and now we know for sure he's going to be doing a Carrie series on Amazon Prime. There are no set dates as to when the production and everything is going to be going forward with that, or when we can expect to see it streaming on the platform, but as those details are made known, we will be talking about them. That is what we have for regular ass news in TV streaming. Let's talk about our suggestion this week for TV streaming. Our suggestion might not be what you're expecting. It is Goosebumps Season 1. The previous, and because it's anthological, so the last season, which had Justin Long as the big name, came 2023, streaming currently on Hulu, involves a group of 5 high schoolers who embark on a shadowy and twisted journey to investigate the tragic passing 3 decades earlier of a teen named Harold Biddle, also unearthing dark secrets from their parents' past. So it borrows heavily from the books that you read, the Goosebumps books that you read when you were a kid, but also from other pop culture horror stuff, which I find really freaking interesting. And it was very well done. Justin Long is kind of always a win, so that is your suggestion for the week. Go check out Season 1 of the current run of Goosebumps out there on Hulu. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.